So y'all go ahead and do the factoring and the math knowledge question for today. Pause the video, and then once everyone is finished, you can unpause the video, and I'll go over the correct answers. So for this factoring, you're going to start off by taking out the greatest common factor, which is a 3, and you're going to be left with 4x squared minus 9. And if you factor 4x squared minus 9, you're going to have 2x minus 3 times 2x plus 3. And so this would be your answer for your factoring. Now for the math knowledge question, they tell you the area of the triangle is 32, and they tell you that xz is 8. Well, xz is your base, and our area formula for a triangle is 1/2 base times height. We know our area is 32, our base is 8, and then yw is our height. And so we have 32, 1/2 of 8 is 4, and so if you solve for your h, you get 8. So your height would be 8. Okay? Now we're going to look at lesson 95. We're looking at advanced complex roots. So we talked about complex roots back on lesson maybe 79, where we had De Moivre's theorem, where we had RCIS theta to the n was R to the n CIS n times theta. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. The reason that it's advanced complex roots is because you're going to end up with decimals. That's the only reason that this is considered advanced. Okay? So we're going to find the 4 fourth roots of 6 plus 4i. And we want to express the roots in polar form. And that means put them into CIS form. So we need to first figure out what 6 plus 4i is in CIS form. And so if you graph it on the complex plane, you have that triangle, 6 plus 4i. It's in the first quadrant. So your hypotenuse is going to be 6 squared plus 4 squared. So 36 plus 16 is the 52. And so if you take the square root of 52, you're going to have 2 square roots of 13. So that's your hypotenuse. Then you also have to find your theta. Our angle is going to be tangent of theta equals 4 over 6. And so your theta is actually going to be 33.69 degrees. And so we put that into CIS form. So we have 2 square roots of 13, CIS 33.69 degrees. And so that's the same thing as 6 plus 4i. It's just written in polar form. And so now we're going to raise it to the 1/4. So we have 2 square roots of 13 to the 1/4, CIS 1/4 times 33.69. So 2 square roots of 13, I would get that as a decimal, and you get 7.211, etc. And then I would raise it to the 1/4. And so you should get 1.64. Okay? Now I'm going to show you on the calculator how to do that. So on your calculator, you can do 2 square roots of 13 and get a number, and then you can go back up here and select it, or you can just do answer by just going on to what you want to do. You're going to raise it to the 1/4, and so you should get that. You can also do math, and you see where it has that 5, where it's an x with a square root. If you click on that one, you can select a 5, or you can scroll down to it and then hit enter, where you can just hit 5. And you see how it has answer there? Well, you're looking for the 4th root. And so then you can plug in your number, and you'll still get the same thing. And you could even do the 4th root. You do the 4, and then you go to 5, and it puts it up there for you. And then you can do 2 square roots of 13 that way. Or you can do 2 square roots of 13, all in parentheses, raised to the 1/4. Now, if you have a calculator that is not putting it in the exponent like that, then what you're going to need to do when you have the 2 square roots of 13, you actually, when you put your little caret in there, you need to put parentheses around the 1/4. Otherwise, what it's going to do is raise it to the first power and then just divide it by 4. So if it's not putting it in the exponent, if it's keeping it all in one line and you have a caret show up, you've got to put parentheses around your exponent. Okay? So that's where the 1.64 came from. Now for the angle, you're just going to do the angle divided by 4. And so you have 1.64 CIS, 8.42 degrees. Now to get the other 3, because we have 4 fourth roots, you do 360 divided by 4, which is 90 degrees. And so you're going to add 90 degrees to each angle. So you have 1.64 CIS 98.42, 1.64 CIS 188.42, and then 1.64 CIS 278.42. And so these would be your 4 fourth roots. So it's the same concept as what we did from lesson 79. Now you just have decimals for your angles and for your magnitude in front. Okay, let's look at another one. We want to find the 5 fifth roots of -7 minus 14i. So the first thing that we have to do is to put it into polar form. And so the way we're going to do that is to actually draw it out. And so we're going to go left 17 and down 14. And you have a right triangle. And so we need to find our hypotenuse and our angle. So using Pythagorean theorem, 14 squared plus 17 squared equals h squared. So use your calculator real quick, and you can go ahead and make that a decimal if you would like, because we're going to be converting it into a decimal in a minute anyway. So you should get about 22 for your hypotenuse. And then for your angle, tangent of theta equals 14 over 17. So theta is 39.47. However, whenever I go to put it into CIS form, I have 22.02 CIS. I'm not going to put 39.47. Remember, I've got to use this whole angle here. So I've got to do 180 plus the 39.47. And so you have 219.47. And so we're looking for the fifth roots, so we raise it to the 1/5. And so again, we're going to take our 22.02 and we're going to get the fifth root of it using any of those methods that I showed you earlier. So if you need to pause the video and help your neighbor, go ahead and do that, but you should get 1.86. And then you have CIS, and we're going to do 219.47 divided by 5. And that gives you 43.89. And so that's your first root. To get the other 4, you're going to take 360 and divide by 5. And that's going to give you 72. So you're going to add 72 to your angle. So you're going to have 1.86 CIS 115.89, 1.86 CIS of 187.89, and then 1.86 CIS 259.89. If you add again, you have 1.86 CIS of 331.89, and that is our fifth one. But if you want to check, add 72 again, and you're above 360. So that's how you can make sure that you have gotten all of them if you're not sure. And so those would be your 5 roots for -17 minus 14i. And that is in polar form, so you leave it just like that. So again, the advanced part, it just means that you have decimals, but everything else is still the same. So for your homework, we do get to omit 14, 21, and 22. So make sure to do your homework tonight so that we can go over any questions you have tomorrow.